Good evening. Come on in, everybody. Let me get everybody else in, and we're going to get started. Okay, I think I got everybody in. Yep, got everybody in. All right, good afternoon. Come on in, everybody. I want to say good evening to everybody. I am Benita, your host of What's on Your Mind, and you are tuned in today to part 4 of our series of single, saved, and satisfied, or are we just saved? Tonight is part 4, Truth or Dare. Are we still saved once we start dating or courting? All right. So you guys come on in. It should be pretty interesting tonight. Hope you guys had a really good day today. Today is Saturday. So a lot of you probably just kind of rested and didn't do a whole lot. Some of you spent time with your families or what have you. And some of you just maybe did laundry, or some of you did nothing at all. So, but whatever you did, I hope you had a really good day today. Okay. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Okay. We got a lot to talk about. So let me tell you what's going on. So right now I'm streaming from 5 different cameras. All right. So you guys pray with me and pray for me that I get better and better, and that also that we get a good production staff. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys to do a little check-in for me. So if you can hear me and see me okay, say I can hear you. Tell me you can hear me and you can see me okay. If you can hear me and see me okay, wherever you're streaming from, whether you're on any of the Facebook streams or if you are on Instagram or if you are on YouTube, let me know. Just say, I can hear you and I can see you. And then I'll know I got everybody in and that I did it right. Okay. Would you do that for me? So let me know that you can hear me and see me okay. Let me know that you guys can hear me and see me okay. And I will get started. So soon, I hope soon that I'm able to have a production staff that can help me with all of this, because now we are up to 5 cameras that we're streaming live from. And so, but I really want to get really good at this so I can make sure I'm bringing you guys the best in production. So if you can see me and if you can hear me, let me know. Um, Thank you, Glenda. Thank you so much. Okay. So you guys in the singles group can hear me. Okay. Thank you, Glenda. I appreciate that. Um, Someone on Instagram, let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. Someone on YouTube, let me know. And the other streaming pages, you guys let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. And then I'll know I have everybody in. All right. All right. So um, while you're doing that, I hope everybody can hear me and see me because I got a lot to talk to y'all about. So I want to go ahead and get started, um, so we won't have to be all night, okay? Because sometimes when I start talking and getting into the information and everything like that, it can get a little lengthy. And I'm trying to shorten the time because I got about 10 days myself before school starts back. And I'll be going back to school myself in fall. It's my last year. Whew, last year. So um, hopefully everything goes well and I can graduate on time and, you know, I'll be done with that. All right. All right. So again, good evening to everybody. I hope everybody had a really, really good day. Um, so let's get right into this. Again, this is part 4. We're probably going to stay on this series until the end of the month. You guys know I like to do series stuff anyhow. So we'll probably be here till the end of the month. And I'll tell you what sparked this particular series. Um, and But tonight is part 4. So tonight is truth or dare. You know, I would still say once we start dating and courting, do the rules change? If we say we're a Christian, where do we go once we start dating and courting one another? What happens then? Um, Are we living in our truth or do we take the dare so that we're able to hold on to the person that we really like or what have you? All right. So that's what we're going to go tonight. And what prompted me to start this particular series, I tell everybody, you see the balloons behind me. On August 6th, I turned 52 years old. And so at that time, I thought, maybe I want to start dating again. Maybe I want to get out there, see what's out there again, whatever, whatever. But I think the thing that not frightens me, but the thing that concerns me the most is that I don't know the rules anymore because it's like everything has changed. All the dating rules have changed, so I don't know what's expected. What you can and can't do, what you're supposed to do, so I wanted to come on and get you guys to let's walk through this process of learning all these new rules together. However, now if you're old school like me and you're just old fashioned like me, it don't matter what the new rules are. You're gonna do it how you do it. And hopefully you'll find someone on that same level as you that will do it the way you do it, and not try to rush you into other stuff. All right. So that's what prompted me to do the series on dating and how do you get back out there in the dating scene once you've been out of dating for so long? Or I also wanted to add, once people have gone through a divorce, how do they ease their way back into the dating scene? How long should they wait after they get divorced? I see a lot of people that's been divorced and they'll jump right back into the dating scene, or going through different things, going through relationship breakups, and they'll jump right from one person to another, male and female. And I just don't think that's mentally and psychologically and physically, depending on how the father relationship goes. I don't know if that's altogether healthy. Okay. So from my perspective, I just didn't know, and I still don't really know what's the rules. Do we still call each other and say, hey, would you like to go out with me? Hey, would you like to get coffee? Would you like to go to lunch? Would you like to go to dinner? What's the rules now? Do we just meet up somewhere? Are men still picking women up? I've seen a lot of stuff on Facebook that I'm just like, is that what we're doing? Women are proposing to men, and I'm just like, what y'all doing? So clearly the rules have changed. Clearly the rules have changed. I just don't know if all of those rules are applicable to everyone across the board. You know what I'm saying? Because there are some that just, some rules just don't apply to everybody. and that getting down on one knee thing, no, we just not gonna do that, you know. Um, Now, if you do that and you are a woman and you want to propose to a man, and if a man accept your proposal and that's okay with him, then that's your business, you know. But everything just doesn't work for everybody. That's all I'm saying. Okay. I don't know if this is too loud for y'all, but so we're playing a little jazz in the background. I own no rights to any of the music, okay? And I didn't put the title of tonight's live on. I guess I'll go back and put that in there later on. All right, so let's get into this. So in this modern day culture, we're mostly driven by sex. Yes, we are. And overly sex Christians, you know, which are single people, we are dared to live in our truths. You know, as a single Christian, whether you're male or female, um, if you're willingly participate in sexual relationships, then you're said to be you're compromising your values, or you're compromising your belief, or you're compromising your salvation, this, that, and the third. On the other hand, when you intentionally abstain from sexual intercourse, particularly for the sake of, you know, you say you want to wait till you get married, or just simply for the sake of saying, you know, my body is a temple of the Holy Ghost, you know, I want to maintain my holiness, this, that, and the third, then you are criticized, you know. So whatever spectrum you're side of the spectrum you're on, if you're involved in sexual activities and you're saying, well, I'm single, but I'm saved, I love God, you know, but I still like to get it in every now and then, you know. So you're saying, well, you compromise and you're this and you're that, you know. And over here you have people that are saying, well, no, I'm not having sex because I am saved and I want to uphold the standard, this and the third. Then these people are criticized, and sometimes they become critical of one another. You know what I'm saying? So the people that are engaged in sexual activity. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about single Christians, okay? Let's make this clear. We're talking about single Christians. We're not talking about people who are married or what have you. We're talking about single Christians, okay? So let me just make that clear. And so a lot of times people who are having sex on a regular basis and they are single, they're saying, oh, you try to be so saved and you try to be so holy, you try to, you know, they're so critical of people that are abstaining from sex. And then people that are abstaining from sex, you all just think everybody is whores. You think everybody is a dog. All the men are the dog, all women are whores, you know, and so nobody is reaching anybody. So you got this group over here, you know, looking at this group side eye, this group looking at this group side eye. And here's the truth of the matter. At some point, everybody was doing what they wanted to do. And if we be honest, we're going to get into this. If we be honest, a lot of times when you say, well, I'm not having sex right now, or I'm just, you know, walking this thing out, sometimes it's by choice. Sometimes it's by choice, okay? And then sometimes, you know, people are abstaining because ain't nobody really checking for them like that at that particular time. All right. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about Truth or Dare. Truth or Dare is a game played that requires the players to be given a choice between answering a question. Truthfully, you have to answer the questions truthfully, or you have to perform a dare. Okay. Which is usually an action chosen by the other person. Listen to this. And although at first glance, this game seems fun, it seems harmless, it seems like we're gonna have a good time, you know. Ooh, we're gonna have a good time tonight. We got some games, we got some food, we got some drinks, we playing Truth and Dare tonight. Here's what happens. All this fun and all this harmless, you know, role playing that we're doing can soon turn into shame and embarrassment. Why? Because most of the dares that the opponents will ask you to do is something you didn't go prepared to do. And it's something you didn't plan on doing. And 9 times out of 10, it's something you would not have voluntarily did on your own. So that's where the rules of Truth and Dare kind of get a little tricky and a little sticky, you know, because you find yourself doing stuff that you didn't plan on doing. You find yourself doing stuff that, oh man, I should have, you know. truth or dare. So you answer the question truthfully, and if you say, "Well, I don't want to answer that," then somebody else get to choose what you get to do, and you have to do what they ask you to do. And that's kind of what we're seeing, in this current culture of Christian dating. I don't even know what to call it anymore. If you guys know something different to call it, y'all school me. Hey, Drea. Um, hey, Melvin. Hey, Sandy. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Y'all good. Come on in and speak to me. Let me know you're here. That makes me feel good. And so what happens is this game that seems like fun and mystery and, it seems harmless soon enough, because what happens when I was reading some questions that they asked during Truth or Dare, and I was like, I don't know if I want to bring any of those questionnaires, but anyhow, you say that's why I don't play that game. I know that's right, because you wind up doing stuff and saying stuff that you didn't intend to do or say. What you say, Sandy? You don't like that game? I don't like it either, because either I'm gonna tell you what I want you to know, or I'm not gonna tell you anything at all. And it depends on who you are. Some people I just don't trust, to tell anything. I wouldn't tell some people, that this lipstick is pink, and you looking right at it, and you can tell it's pink. I wouldn't even tell you that, because I don't trust you like that. And then there are some people you can trust just to let your hair down, kind of be yourself. You don't have to put on airs. You don't have to be anything to them. You can just kind of let your hair down, get comfortable around them. I have friends like that. I have guy friends like that, that I'm just so comfortable around them. I ain't got to put on the makeup. I ain't got to be dressed up, none of that, and we just have a really good time and enjoy being friends, and that's what we need. We need people that we can be ourselves. But what happens is, if you enter into a situation that you're no longer in control, you don't get to decide whether or not you be yourself, because being yourself, you got a lock on what you will and won't say. But once you get into this game of truth and dare, and you say, well, I don't want to answer that. Have you ever kissed on the first date? That was one of the questions. Have you ever kissed on the first date? Now, here's what we do as Christians. Well, we get real holy and sanctimonious, when we get asked some questions, instead of just saying either yes, you have, or no, you haven't. And so because we don't really want to be truthful about a lot of stuff, we wind up taking the dare. And the dare, sometimes it comes off a little bit worse than what the truth would have been. It might have been okay. I mean, who hasn't kissed on the first date at one point or another? Who didn't want? And if you didn't kiss, you wanted to. You want to do some other stuff too, because there's some good looking. Let me just tell you about me. Remember, I always say I'm gonna be transparent, okay? And I'm always talking about me. That's my disclaimer, so that I don't hold no liability, for saying nobody else's name, to talk about nobody else. I don't hold no liability. Nobody can't sue me. Nobody can't do none of that. Y'all can't try to get me show off the air, all that crazy stuff. You know what I'm talking about. So I use me when I give examples. There are some very, very handsome men, and me personally, some of them are personal friends. And let me tell y'all something. Some of my friends, that I'm talking single now. Let's act like we got good sense in here tonight. Some of my friends, these brothers look so good. So good. I have to pray. I'd be like, Lord, thou knowest the way that I take. You gotta be honest. So if somebody was to say, well, did you ever on the first date? Or would you ever on the first date? My honest answer would probably be, I would try not to, but it depends on who it is. That's gonna make the struggle a little bit harder. But I would really try not to. That's an honest answer. But for somebody to say, oh no, I've been, I'm washed in the blood of Jesus, I'm covered under the blood of Jesus, if that's your testimony, then that's your testimony. And trust me, it's more people that are kept that don't have to, wave their kept banner. You just don't have to do that. Sometimes you just got to live it out. You know what I'm saying? And so when you get in this game called Truth or Dare, if you don't want to answer the question truthfully, so one of theirs might be, well, I dare you unbutton all 3 buttons on your shirt. Adults play games a little different than children. Well, your shirt only have 3 buttons on it. So now if you unbutton all 3, you're exposed. And if you a woman, so now this game is taking a turn that you didn't expect to take. Such is life. And such as this thing we called, or we're calling, Christian dating. All right. Shall we play? All right, here we go. All right. So truth is, listen to this. Truth is, and you guys can chime in from wherever you're watching. I'm able to see your comments. I'm live in the comments with all of you tonight. I don't even know how I'm doing this, but thank God I'm learning on the go. I'm on the job training, all right? And I thank you guys for being super, super patient with me. All right. All right. So here we are. Truth then. Okay, there I am. Truth is the quality or the state of being true. That which is true or in accordance with the facts or reality. It is authentic. It is sincerity, it's candor, it's honesty and genuineness. Listen to what Ralph Waldo Emerson said. He said, truth is the property of no individual, but it is the treasure of all men. So truth does not belong to one individual, but truth is the treasure of us all. All right. So now we understand what truth is. Let's look at dare. Dare is having the courage to do something. It's to defy or challenge someone to do something. Okay, that's what a dare is. I want you to keep these in mind as we move along. Okay, it's a challenge to prove that you have courage. Yeah. It's to taunt somebody or to goad them into doing something that they would not normally do on their own accord. It is to defy or to summon someone or to invite them in to participate in something that normally they probably would not be doing, something they would not have, kind of gotten themselves into, if you will. That's what a dare is. It's to challenge someone to perform an action. Watch this, especially as a proof that they have the courage to do it. And here's where we are in this culture of Christian dating. We're allowing people to challenge who we are. We're allowing people to challenge our truth, challenge our salvation, challenge. So we're presented with what looks good to see if we can stay saved in that moment. Will it be hard? It just depends on what you like. And many of you, you're of age and you understand how this thing goes. The enemy is not going to bring you something that you don't like, something that's not attractive to you. Let me tell you something. I don't have no ugly male friends. All of my male friends, and even if we're just platonic friends, they're all very handsome men. Very, 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 and some more so than others. Some I'm not remotely attracted to because we're friends. And then I have some friends that I am extremely attracted to. So those are the friends I have to, kind of watch myself around. And I know people, we done been all over all over the disclaimers. You guys know I'm a pastor. I'm saved for real. I'm not into proving my spirituality to anybody. All right. So, and a lot of times we're challenged on those ends because we want to get into this dating scene, or we're already dating. Thank you, Sandy. We're already dating and we just want to a lot of people want to date because they're looking for a spouse. They want to date until they can start courting. And we're going to understand the difference between dating and courting, how that whole thing is a process within itself. And then we're going to understand that, sometimes people want to get married so they can have what I call legal sex, And if you're getting married just to have sex, listen, you don't have to tangle somebody else's life up, just for a moment of pleasure, if that's all you really want. You know what I'm saying? And I say this, and then I want to make it clear, I am not telling you to do anything because, first of all of you grown. And if you're not over 18 or 21, you need to log out of this live. All right? That is my disclaimer. This is not for children. All right. So parents, if you have your children watching, you know, you probably should not have your children watching these segments on Christian dating, because we are covering adult content. All right. And that's up to you to teach your children all that stuff. All right. Cool. So um so a lot of times we will find people, you want to get married because basically you want to have sex. And here's what I said to that. You don't necessarily have to get married to have sex if that's your own objective for being married. Don't tie somebody else's life up. If you know you don't see yourself in a real future with that person, if you know you can't see yourself loving that person unconditionally, if you know you can't see yourself accepting the good, the bad, and the ugly of that person, listen, don't tie people's life up. Don't act like you want to be with people. Don't get engaged. Don't get married to people just for the sake of having free sex and legal sex. And then after you feel good for a couple of months or a year or two down the line, then y'all say, oh, this ain't working out. This ain't what the Lord said, or the devil is busy. Let's just keep the main thing the main thing. Be honest, it ain't working because the agendas going into the situation was already jacked up from day one. You saw him, and like I said, I got some good looking friends. If any of my real friends, if y'all watching, and you my female friends, and you know me personally, I got some good looking male friends. Okay? Okay, because sometimes people get on Facebook and all these different lives, they be lying, and don't nobody really be on there to check them, So, but my real friends, like in real life, y'all know I got some good looking friends. All right. All right. So what happens is this: if I were to entertain them and saying, yes, right now, today, I'm ready to settle down, this, that, and the third. But in my mind, I'm thinking, child, this man look good. He smell good. Conversation is good, and you got options, you got choices. That's easy to get caught up into. You know what I'm saying? Versus me saying, well, truly, I really do want to be in a committed, watch this, monogamous relationship that will start out as a friendship, evolve into dating, and then end up in courtship and marriage. Okay? And we're going to go through that process in a little bit. All right. So what happens is when you're dating, we're dating to establish, listen to this, to establish or to stage, this is the first stage of the romantic relationship, between humans. We got some people doing some stuff, but we're not talking about that tonight. All right. All right. So, whereby two people, and I know some of y'all into some of this other stuff today, where you got more than one person that, you got sister wives and I don't know what they call brother husbands. I don't know what they call them. But most of these things, you can have more than one man, but it's an issue if a woman wants to have more than one woman. If a woman wants to have more than one man, but it's okay for a man to have more than one woman. Even some, it's okay for him to have multiple wives. But I have not seen yet, and I have not read. If somebody know about it, let me know, because I just like doing research. I have not heard or read where it's okay to where a woman can have multiple husbands. I don't know about that one. I haven't heard about it. If it is one, I don't know about it. Okay. Not that I know it all, but you guys know I do a lot of research. So what happens is where two people meet socially with the aim of each one assessing the other's suitability. This is why we're dating. We're trying to determine, first of all, are we suitable prospective partners in an intimate relationship? Can I see myself with you? Can you see yourself with me? Do we have anything in common? Do we have any similar likes or dislikes? Do you like, smart women? Do you like women, that that are busy. When I say busy, I don't mean busybody. I mean busy taking care of business. That's what I mean. Do you like a man, who's stable? Do you like a man who's funny? Do you like a man who has a good sense of humor? Do you like a man that can hold a good conversation? Do you like people that are consistent? Do you like people, that enjoy being around you? So now we're trying to figure out. Dating is for us to figure out if possibly you make a good prospect of a partner for an intimate relationship. It is a form of courtship. Okay, we're not courting yet. Dating is a form of courtship. It consists of social activities that are done by the couple, either the couple alone or you meet up with other couples, and you do things outside, in the open. You go to different social events, things of that nature. An example of dating is two people seeing each other exclusively, listen to this definition, exclusively for a period of 6 months. So I'm always amazed how, and I hear people talk about love at first sight. I still don't know if I believe in it yet. I don't know. It's not that I can't believe in it, but I don't know if I believe in it just yet. Maybe somebody will change my mind about that, but I don't know if I believe in love at first sight. Now, I believe you can be attracted to somebody at first sight, and we have to be careful about calling everything lust. Just because you see somebody that's really desirable, and women, if you see a man that's really handsome and you realize he's single, there's nothing wrong for you to think that's a handsome man. There's nothing wrong for you to be attracted to that handsome man. It's not, we're so quick to call it, oh, that's a lust demon making. Let me tell you something. How you gonna get to know anybody if nobody, suits your fancy, if nobody turns you on, if nobody catches your eye? How you keep saying you want to get married, but everything that approach you and everybody that approach you, and every time, you're in a position to actually meet somebody, you rebuking the devil as if, God does not have enough sense to protect you, as if God does not have enough sense to send what you need. And a lot of times, I think, this is just me, I think we're missing our blessing because we keep talking about we're waiting on God, we're waiting on God, we're waiting on God, and we're meeting good people, we're meeting nice people here and there, but we're so caught up in being superficial and super religious until we're missing just the simple things in life that start with good evening, that starts with how you doing, that starts with, oh, I think you're very beautiful, that starts with, can I just tell you, I think you're really handsome. Just the simple things in life. Nobody's talking about going to bed. No, and listen, and if you are thinking about it, those are your thoughts. Those are still, I still don't think they're wrong thoughts. If you look at a man and you be like, child, honey, I don't think that's, I don't think that's lusting. I don't think, you're single, he's single. You see a nice looking man and you be like, child, that's a good looking man. That's not lustful. To me, that's not lustful. And you may have your own definition of what you think is lustful, but simple stuff like that, I don't think it's lustful. And if a man sees a woman and she seems desirable to him, I don't necessarily, this is just me, and I promise to always be transparent and honest with you. I necessarily don't think it's lustful for a man to look at a woman and say, wow, she's really beautiful, she's sexy, whatever, she's alluring, I don't think that's lustful, but if a man is always talking about, oh, I want your sex and I want you to do, then that's a little different. Then you might can call out a lust spirit. You know what I'm saying? If they're always talking about sex and that's all y'all ever talk about, then you got two choices. Whether you male or female. If you're the female and a man you meet is always talking about sex, and if you're a man and a woman that you meet is always talking about sex, you got two choices with that individual. Y'all can go ahead and do it, get it out your system, and then ask the Lord to forgive you, or y'all can stop seeing each other because the pressure gets too much. Yes, I did say that. Because I think what's happening, we're telling people stuff that really, instead of freeing them, it puts them in bondage. And that's what we're here. We're here to break that bondage. We're here to tear down those systems that are causing people to remain in bondage. Watch this. We're in church, but we're in bondage. We're in Christ, but we're in bondage. We're singing in church, but we're in bondage. We're working in church, but we're in bondage. Some of us that serve in church, but we're in bondage. Why? Because we jump and shout and we feel good. However long church lasts, 30 minutes. Some of y'all go to church last 30 minutes. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, however long your church service lasts, you feel good. You got that euphoria, of church high going. But then when you leave church, most of the time you're subject to go right back to doing what you were doing before you hit that euphoria of church high. And a lot of times it has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on at church. So now you got to go back home and you still got to deal with your demons. You got to deal with your proclivities. You got to deal with your wants and your desires that you don't want to talk to anybody about, because after all, when you do go to church, you basically just go there to feel good about not feeling good when you're not at church. Does that make any sense to anybody? And so I think what's happening, this is why I don't mind having these kind of conversations. Now, it might be a little, I get it if you think, it's a little borderline-ish, stuff I say is a little borderline-ish. I get it. I get it if you might think the stuff I say, could be, make me look like I'm straddling the fence. You can say whatever you want to say. I know what my assignment is, and I'm telling you, I just believe that we have done a disservice to single people by telling them that everything is a sin, everything is a lust demon, everything is this. Listen, women, listen. You're supposed to have desires. Men, you're supposed to have desires. If listen, we got to stop putting people in so much bondage. And here's what's getting me. Most of the people that are causing people to be in bondage, they are already married. These are, married people, say stuff like, oh, you don't need to be married. Marriage is work. Well, ain't you married? So what you telling us, you want to be the only one that's satisfied and on your way to heaven. You don't want us to be satisfied, or you want us to get satisfied and on our way to hell. Which is it? See what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times we have to determine as singles what's best for us. Each one of you that are listening or that will listen to the playback, each one of you that are already tuned in, you have to decide what's best for me at this point in my life. Because let me tell you something, if you always determine what's best for you by what the status quo is and by what other people say, you're going to miss your blessing. You're going to miss it. All right. So listen to this. Dating, it may also involve two people who have already decided that they share romantic or even sexual feelings towards each other. It's okay. It's okay to say, he turns me on, or if you're a man or what have you, she turns me on. Because here's the truth of the matter. Man, would you pursue a woman that didn't turn you on? And women, would you entertain a man that didn't turn you on? Let me use me again. I would not. Because if I'm going to entertain you, number one, I have in my mind, I'm trying to see where this going to go with you. And if I'm trying to see where it's going to go with you anywhere for a long term, then it has to be something about you that can turn me on. It's something about you that goes beyond the physical that I can see. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So I'm not talking about, again, lusting after each other, but I'm talking about finding something that makes that person even more attractive, even more alluring, even more inviting. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? And so what we're doing is we're seeing if we can share romantic or sexual feelings towards each other. So what happens is we have to have dates on a regular basis. And listen, these dates don't necessarily have to have anything to do with sex. But once you get grown, like your 30s and but more so 40s and 50s and 60s and up like that in age, and when you start talking about dating and all of that, you know, yes, we do discuss sex during dating. We don't necessarily discuss it from the standpoint that when are we going to engage in it, but we more so discuss it from the perspective of, you know, I want to know what are your sexual proclivities are. You know, um, have you if I'm talking to a man, I won't know. Have you ever been with a man? Have you ever had a desire to be with a man? Because let me tell y'all something. Yes, we're all saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. Some of us, you know. However, you know, our nature is what it is. And even if you've been delivered from something, if you don't maintain a certain lifestyle, that thing could just be laying dormant and then come back up at any moment. You know, understand what I'm saying? If you have not completely surrendered that thing over. And so, yeah, we want to have the conversation. Um, dating is the period of courtship. That's what it is. Dating is one of the first periods of courtship, and sometimes it's seen as a precursor to the engagement. So now you go from friends to dating to courtship to engagement to the marriage. All right. So, what is the courtship then? The courtship is when we are involved romantically. Okay, we've gone 6 months past the dating now. Remember, average dating to be dating and to be exclusively dating, we have to at least be dating exclusively for 6 months. Okay, so once we get past the 6 month rule of dating exclusively, now we can move into the courtship phase. Okay. And so now we're courting, and we're courting to see if to be involved romantically, typically with the intention of marrying. Okay. So now we're at the next step. And so it's to try to attract you to even more, to try to get you to pay special attention, to win your support or your favor. A lot of times, women will do certain things to try to win a man over, especially if we really like them. And men do the same thing, but here's the thing: once we get that individual, or we start feeling comfortable about, that individual, or we think we got it in the bag, then we stop doing things that are necessary to keep that person interested. Okay. And here's what I made a note of: we're living in such perverted times. Um, I like to get to know a person that I'm interested in. Uh, Now we're seeing such perversion. Whenever we used to say, well, oh, I like to get to know you, I'm interested in you, so that means let's start dating, let's go out, let's start hanging out, let's start talking more, this, that, and the third. But now in this current culture of dating, I mean, even with older people, 40s and 50s and 60s or what have you, we're living in such a perverted culture. When somebody say, hey, I like to get to know you better now, what they're basically saying is, I want to have sex with you now, and then you're left thinking like, what is, we too old just be playing bed hopping, you here today, gone tomorrow, especially if you can already see that a person is inconsistent, you would be the wiser to pay attention to people's behavior before you start jumping in the bed with this person or that person, whether you male or female. Pay attention to people's behavior before you make that decision. All right. And somebody may say, well, why are you even talking about this? You're supposed to be giving us scriptures about abstaining from sex. Remember, I told you when I first started this series on the beginning of August, I am not anybody's sex police. That's not my assignment. My job is to just have conversation and give you intelligent information that you can make your own decisions with. Now, hopefully, you choose what's best for you. And you choose what's best for you based on the will of God for your life. Um, I'm not the sex police. That's why I don't get into a lot of, telling people what to do and what not to do. What I do, I give you the information, then you make your own decisions based on the information that you're now responsible for knowing. Okay. All right. So now the purpose of the courtship. Purpose of courtship is to seek to gain love or affection with a view toward marriage. That's why you court. So now remember, we're past the dating. We've gone 6 months now. And anytime you start, I always use me. I'm a woman, I'm 52 years old. I don't have time for you to, come in my life just to see if you can get something out of me and then move on to the next person. If you step to me with purpose, step to me with an understanding that I'm not 25, I'm 52. Step to me with that understanding in mind, step to me with the understanding that I'm a communicator, step to me with the understanding you got to be consistent, be consistent. And because a lot of times what might work for someone in their 20s and 30s may not work for them in their 40s and 50s and 60s. You see what I'm saying? People change, people evolve, and we have to stop pointing the fingers and making people feel bad because they evolve and they grow and they change. I was talking to somebody and I think she was telling me, she said, well, maybe it's my age now. Maybe, I think it was someone that was tuned into one of the lives, and she was saying, her desires changes with her age. As she ages, what she wants and what she will accept, it changes as she ages. And I think this is what I think. I think we just have to kind of give people room to evolve and to grow and to make decisions about, okay, so this is what I wanted at 20, but I'm 40 now, and I'm 30 now, and I'm 50 now. I don't think I want the same things because the same things don't appeal to me. The stuff that appealed to me when I was younger, it just don't appeal to me now that I'm older. And we have to allow people that room. We have to allow them room to evolve without saying, oh, well, I remember when, or, I remember when you used to get down in the day. Well, this ain't the day. That was yesterday. These days, people are more cautious about what they get into when you start talking about relationships. Because not everybody just want to bed hop, okay? We've done that. We had our fun. You know what I'm saying? And now people are wanting something more. I talk to a lot of people from different walks of life, different places in their life. But the number one thing I have found that is kind of common across the board is that people want something solid. People want something that they can rely on. People want someone that they can count on. If I'm having a bad day, and you're supposed to be my guy, I should be able to pick up the phone and call you. If you're busy, you'll see that I call. I'm going to leave you a voice message or what have you. As soon as you can, get back to me because I'm supposed to be that kind of special to you. And the same way with the man, if he's going through something and if he calls his woman and she's busy, what have you, leave her a voice message. And if she cares all that much about you, and if she's really interested in what you have to say, she'll call you back. But what I'm finding is you can reach out to people, they won't answer. They can see you call, they won't call you back. You can send a text, they won't text you back. Now, this is something I've been working on because I used to be real bad with it. I'm still a work in progress. And so I used to be terrible about calling people back, unless I specifically say, I'm going to call you back. Then I try to make it a point to call you back. But if somebody would just say, hey, call me tomorrow at such and such time, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to do it. And I don't know why. That was just something, I don't know. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. I hate texting. If anybody knows me in real life, I absolutely hate texting because it muddles the translation gets muddled because I can't feel your energy through a text message. And sometimes the energy that we do feel through text messages is not what the sender intended. So a lot of times we'll read a text message and get offended when there was no offense intended. But because I can't hear your voice, you can't hear my voice, you can't feel my heartbeat, through a text message. You know what I'm saying? So those are some of the things that we have to be able to manage. Once we get out of the dating phase, we're into this courting phase now. We're trying to see, can we be married? Can this evolve into not just a marriage, listen to this, but a healthy and happy marriage? I like to laugh. As serious as I am, I'm a very serious person. Very, 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 very serious. However, I am also a very silly person. But of course, you don't get to see all of that. Sometimes you may, but you know, that behind the scenes stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I've come through, when you go through so much in life, what you do now, you don't take life so seriously. You don't take yourself so seriously. You take life one day at a time, and you just enjoy life as it comes, and you make the most of every moment. You don't get caught up in people's hangups. You don't major on the minor things. You just, it is what it is. Hakuna Matata. You know what I'm saying? And so you just kind of adopt this mindset for yourself that, listen, after all the hell that I've been through, I just want to enjoy my life. You know what I'm saying? I want to enjoy my life. I want to have good friends around me. I want my bills to be paid on time. Come on, somebody. I want, faithful people around me that's not saying one thing in my face and something different behind my back. And should I choose to fall in love with someone, I want somebody who's going to love me just as much or more than I will love him. You know what I'm saying? And so these are the things that, we are, I am, at that age to where all that other stuff, it's not that important. We've done a whole lot. By the time you get 40 in your 50s and 60s, you've experienced a whole lot, particularly if you have made it through church and dealing with church people. You've made it. All right. So it's a prelude to a possible engagement. It's to provide a couple, listen to this, time to discover or assess and evaluate their compatibility as potential lifelong marriage partners. Sex will cloud the discovery process. Listen to this, and you guys have heard me say this before. Sex will cloud the discovery process. Watch this. Sex itself, it'll cloud the discovery process. But good sex will blind you to the fact that maybe we're not as compatible as we think we are. And our only compatibility is right here in the bed. Did y'all hear that? Sex will cloud the getting to know you process. It'll cloud it up, because if someone's sexing you and you sexing them, you're not really getting to know them. You're getting to know about their body, how their body works, how they make you feel. But outside of that bed, you don't really know them. That's what sex does. Sex clouds the process, the discovery process. And discovery means to reveal something. All right. That's also one of our legal terms that we use. It means to reveal or to present evidence. Okay. So, but good sex, it'll blind you to the fact that, hey, listen, outside of this bed, we don't really have any compatibility. The only thing that we really good to each other for is sex. But outside of the bed, we don't have no real conversations. We don't go anywhere. We don't spend no time together unless we're getting in the bed together. So these things will cloud that getting to know you, that discovery process. So, and what happens is I don't get to really see the best of who you are, because all I know is you make me feel good. All I make you feel good. But what happens when you had a bad day and you don't feel like getting in the bed? Women have bad days, they don't feel like getting in the bed. Men have days, they don't feel like having sex. Everybody have an off day. You know what I'm saying? Everybody have off days, so can we have a conversation those days? Are we able to sit down and just talk to each other or hold each other when the storms come? Do we have anything that makes us compatible outside of the bedroom? The importance of a courtship. It's to establish the romance or deep commitment needed for relationships to survive, and it provides building blocks. It allows couples to build trust and unconditional love. It is to show, listen to this one, the importance of courting is to show the behavior used to persuade one person to marry another. So if I have to persuade, if my only means of persuasion for me to get you is for me to always present my body to you, you don't know how I think, you don't know what makes me sad, you don't know what makes me happy, you don't know what makes me cry, you don't know how I budget money, you don't know if I just blow through money or if I'm frugal with money, you don't know anything about me other than, you know, a person, I just look good, and or he just look good, and that person might look good for sex. That's all you know about is what's on the outside. So here's a note I wrote. Sex should never be used as a tool to get to know somebody. I'll say it again. Sex should never be used as a tool to get to know somebody. Okay? Because really that's all you're going to know about them. Yeah, you might have that intimate time when you're having pillow talk, this and the third, but if really that's all on your mind, don't nobody really care what you're thinking. Let's be honest. That's not what they came for. That's not what she's there for. That's not what he's there for. They're not there because you got a beautiful mind. They're there because something about you was sexually attractive to them. And that's why they're there. So dating versus courtship. Let's go into that. So people who are dating, they know that a relationship may or may not form for a long time. And so the older you get, the quicker you know this. It's not going to take you 6 months. By the time you're 40 and 50 and 60 and so on, it's not going to take you. Now, the average time that qualifies us as exclusively dating means that we have only been seeing each other for a consistent 6 months. Remember that, okay? It's not going to take you 6 months to determine whether or not this is actually going somewhere, or this is someone you can see yourself with long term, or is this someone that you both was just kind of sexually charged with each other for a moment, and whether you went through it or not, went through with the act of having sex or not, you both know in the back of your mind it could or could not happen at any moment. So well, this ain't really going nowhere, but he sure look good, or this ain't really going nowhere, but she sure look good, So in the back of our minds, we're just kind of trying to wonder how this person would be in our bed, not necessarily how this person would fare in our hearts and in our life. All right. So people who are courting, they know they will continue to see one another for a long period of time, and it doesn't stop after a few dates. Sometimes you'll go on a few dates with somebody, and once people realize, ain't nothing gonna happen, but this getting to know one another period, people fade off. I've heard tales of, women stop calling men because men are not, you know, are not. They want to get to know you as a woman, you know, um, and then they're say, "Oh, he don't call no more. We don't talk no more." Well, what happened? I just think he wanted to sleep with me or what happened. I've heard it from both sides, men and women. And sometimes I'll be like, "Well, did you like that person?" "Oh yeah, I really like them, but they just stopped calling." You know, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay if it doesn't work. You cannot. Let me tell you something. You cannot get so caught up into something that could have happened until you forget what should be happening in your life at that time. Does that make sense to you guys? So, um, so now let's play a little truth or dare. Let's get into the truth or dare. All right. So here we are. Truth or dare in dating or courting. Y'all ready? All right. So we're in such a sex-driven culture in the church. Whether you're saved, single. Excuse me. We're being dared to live in our truth. Truth is, we are saved. I don't doubt anybody that says that they're saved or they love God or that they're holy. That's not for me to judge. I can't judge your salvation. And people say, well, you can judge by how people live. That's the thing. I don't know how people live. Somebody having a sexual act don't mean that they live sexually. So still, you can't say that a person, a Christian that was involved with the sex, with the sex act, is no longer saved. That's just my belief. That's my belief. That's my belief. Because if that person repents of their sin or what have you, you cannot hold that person to that. All right. So the truth is, we are saved, which means we have confessed with our mouth, the Lord Jesus. Hold on. Let me go back in. Sorry, Instagram. Let me get y'all back real quick. I always knock Instagram out and then have to figure out how to get them back. I'll wait for a few minutes and I'll try to go and get them back. Oh, there it is. Well, it didn't take me long to figure it out this time, y'all. All right. You're getting good at it. All right. So we have confessed with our mouth that Jesus is the Lord. And we confess that with our mouth, and we believe in our heart that God has raised him from the dead, Romans 10:9-10. So now we're born again. We're free from the effects of the falling man. Okay, so now we're saved. All right. What it doesn't mean is this. It doesn't mean that we are perfect. It doesn't mean that we are without fleshly desires, wants, inclinations, thoughts, or proclivities. It doesn't mean that we have no sin in us. Just because people are saying they're saved, it doesn't mean that they're perfect. It doesn't mean any of that. What it does mean is that now we have the capacity to choose right from wrong. We have the insight to understand consequences to our actions. We have the power to resist temptation. We have the mental fortitude, listen to this, to make sound decisions. We have the compassion to show mercy. We want to see others fare well and prosper in life. This is what being saved is about. We have the emotional, the mental, the physical, spiritual, and psychological capacity to either hold or cling to that which is good, or to flee or disconnect from that which is evil. That's what it means to be saved. It does not mean to be perfect. It does not mean that we are high and others are low. It does not mean any of that. So I wanted to make sure I get that nugget in there so we're understanding, yes, we are saved, but that does not make our inclination and our proclivities go away. It doesn't make our desires go away. It just means that now we have the capacity to make better decisions. We have the capacity to have better understanding of why we feel the way we feel, and to understand the consequences and all of that. Okay, so to be saved is to be kept safe or rescued from something or someone. It is to be kept from harm or danger. It is to be kept or to be stored for future use. That's what it means to be saved. So to be saved also means to turn away from a life that is without God, a life that is focused solely upon ourselves, to give us the obsession with our needs or wants or our pleasures or our comforts or our own importance, our egos, and our own power. That's what it means to be saved. It means to give up claim to all of that. So we are saved from something, and then we are saved to something. All right. So what are we saved from? We're saved from destructive patterns of life. It is a destructive habit, a destructive pattern, not only of your life, but everybody you come in contact with when you just hop from bed to bed to bed to bed. That's a destructive pattern of behavior. And then you just knock them down like bowling pins. You just leaving people, laying in the alley here and there. Men and women are doing it, and we're seeing it in such a way that now, oh God, we're seeing it in such a way now. People are filming one another without knowing it. So now you got this revenge porn going on. People are screenshotting messages, intimate messages. You think you talking to, you guys are having intimate conversation. They screenshotting it, saving that crap for later on, and you guys have shared intimate stuff together, and they'll save your stuff, tell you to delete theirs, but they'll save your stuff to use against you later on, and later on down the road, if things don't go quite the way they want it to go. We're gonna talk about that on our next. We're gonna talk about uh being blackmailed, blackballed, and threatened. We're gonna talk about all of that. We're gonna talk about this Christian mafia. We're gonna talk about all that on the next show. All right. And so what happens is, being saved means that we're saved from destructive patterns of life, whether it is things that destroy us instead of building us up. That's what we're talking about. Alcohol, drugs, sexual misuse and sexual abuse, intolerance, lust for power, the pursuit of gain at others' expense. All of these things are destructive patterns of behavior. But the one I really want to deal with, I really want to get into this culture that we're living in, this sexualized Christian culture that we're living in. So now it is the mindset that everybody's having sex. If you're single, you can have sex. If you're married, you can have sex with your wife and anybody else you want to have sex with. If you're married, you can have sex with your husband and anybody else you want to have sex with. There is no sexual purity anymore. There's no sexual morality anymore. Everybody's just doing everything. But can I tell y'all of this truth? Not everybody is doing everything. There are some people that are living true to the call of God. There are some people, let me tell you something. I don't care what a person looks like. People can look at a woman. If she looks a certain way, people will certainly assume, oh, she got to have a man, or she has to be sexually active, because this, that, and the third. Or you'll look at a man and say, oh, I know he rented plenty of women. And it's so unfair. It's so unfair. It's as if you're saying that the more unkept a person is, the more a person let themselves go, the more a person does not, take care of their physical appearance. Then you guys are suggesting that makes them more holy, that makes them more saved than someone else that's taking care of themselves, someone who's going the extra mile to make sure they keep their weight down, make sure they look a certain way, make sure they smell a certain way, they like their clothes to fit, so then you assume the worst of that person. If he's a man, he's well groomed. You assume he's a player because he like to be well groomed. What's wrong with us? What's so wrong with us to where we take the simple things of life and we make them so perverted to now people don't even want to take good care of themselves. People can't even groom themselves properly without you guys thinking, oh, he a player. Oh, she must be she got plenty of men. Look at her. Somebody taking care of her. Yeah, somebody taking care of her. The Lord. And I'm just not understanding this current culture, of Christian singles, because it's so hard to have these kind of conversations. You know why? I said it one time and I'll say it again on any subject. Christians are so dishonest. We have gotten to the point to where we'll say, oh, I'm just waiting on God. I don't necessarily have to have no man. Girl, what? Child. Say what now? You don't have to have one. Why? When everything about a woman was created for that man's pleasure. All right. Y'all so spiritual till y'all don't know your Bibles. And if you knew your Bible, and then we would stop trying to find these little loopholes to get out of doing what we're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to adorn yourself. You're supposed to look well, women. You're supposed to take care of yourself. You're supposed to smell good. You're supposed to behave yourself in a certain way. You're supposed to be attractive. You're supposed to. Men are supposed to look at you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, I don't get it. I remember someone told me one time, you guys know, I don't mind sharing my stories, And one thing I don't do, I don't call names. I'm not going to tell you who said what, because sometimes those people are listening in. And it's not my job to offend or, expose anybody, because I don't have that right. Because, sometimes you got to be careful when you try to expose people. You got to make sure that your hands are clean, or that you pulling the carpet out from there won't make both of y'all fall. All right? Because sometimes in order for you to know that much about a person, you had to be standing pretty close unless, you know, you got to think about all these folk who said caught the woman in adultery in the Bible. Well, how y'all know what she was in there doing? Y'all had to be somewhere in the immediate vicinity in order to see it. All right. So when you start talking about, well, I tell everybody this, so, you know, don't bother with me. I put all your junk on Front Street. Well, you know, that's the next one. We're going to talk about being blackmailed and all that kind of stuff next week as it pertains to this Christian dating thing that we're seeing. So what happens is, now we're able to make better decisions. Now we're stopping these destructive patterns. And listen, you all don't read statistics. You guys don't read the what is it, is it the CDC? Y'all don't read those reports? Y'all don't read the reports about the average number of diseases in your area, STD cases, HIV? Y'all don't read? Y'all don't keep up with that stuff? I do. And even though you don't have to be sexually active to be well informed, let me just clear that up. You do not have to be sexually active to be well informed. And I think that's one of the mistakes we make as Christians. We feel like, well, if we ain't having sex, we don't need to know all of that. You need to know all that before you start having sex with somebody. And even those of you that are saying, well, I'm going to wait till I get married, you still need to know. You still should ask for a test. You should submit a test. Unless you are an absolute first-time virgin ever in your life, you should submit to testing. You should require that your partner submit to testing if you guys are considering marriage or courting or getting serious with one another. All right. So, so then people who overindulge, whether they're indulging in alcohol, food, sex, what have you, drugs, what they're normally doing, they're usually attempting to fill a void or to cover a feeling of an inadequacy. And so a lot of times that's why you see a lot of men, they have to have a lot of different women. They just go from woman to woman to woman. They just sleeping with so many women. I met a gentleman one time, and he was telling me he was interested in me. It's been many years ago. And I was at the gas station when I met him. And but I thought he was a very nice gentleman. He was very respectful, very nice, and very nice looking. And so we started talking. He asked for my number. I gave him my number, what have you. So we started talking, and I think we went for coffee or something a few times or what have you. But I think maybe he started, how do you say, catching feelings too early, you know. And so he says, well, I want to ask you a question. So I said, okay. So he says, well, if I tell you that I have been with probably 900 women in my lifetime, true story. Remember, I told you, when I tell you guys something, I would always tell you if it's a true story or if I'm speaking hypothetically. True story. So he says, well, if I tell you I've been with probably more than 900 women in my lifetime, what would you think about me? I said, I don't know. Kind of caught me off guard with that one. He says, but I'm saved now. You know, I'm saved and I don't have those ways anymore, you know, and I'm ready to settle down with a wife, this and then the third, you know, I have a good job now, blah, 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 you know. So I said, well, how would you get to that high of a body count? He says, oh, he's working in the porn industry, this, then the third. I was like, oh, okay. So I said, well, let me ask you a question. If I told you that I had been with 900 men, but I'm saved now, and that's not my lifestyle anymore, I said, what would you think? He said, I would think you was a whore. My point exactly. My point exactly. You see how that worked? Remember last week we talked about, do we have different standards or do we have double standards when it comes to Christian dating? The things men and women can get away with. So I said, do women normally have an issue when you tell them that? He says, yeah, that's why I'm still single, because I can't find anyone that when I do tell them that truth, they don't really want to get involved with me. And I said, well, would you get involved with a woman if she told you that she has been with 900 men? He said, no. I said, so then is it fair for you to want a woman to accept that that's your truth, when in fact you would not accept that that would be her truth? You wouldn't accept her. He says, I understand what you're saying. And so we stayed friends. We stayed friends, and we would still hang out every now and then. But, I just let him know I wasn't, that's not for me, you know. Um, and not so much because I judged him or anything. Um, it's because he would not give the same grace that he wanted. And I'm like this, I will challenge you because I don't know when I might need grace. You know what I'm saying? And you can't want grace where you won't give it. You cannot want grace where you won't give it. All right. Even in dating, you can't ask me to accept, oh, I know we were seeing each other, but you said you wanted to wait to have sex and I just couldn't wait and I went and slept with somebody else. Okay. Great. So if a woman tells a man that, is he still going to be with her? Will he still continue to date her or to court her? Will he still see her as wife material? If she says, I know we was trying to wait till we got married, but I had a moment of weakness and, I slept with this person, it only happened one time me and him got together and I'm really sorry, but I want to be with you. Do you think, would most men, you know, still continue to be in a relationship with a woman the same way they would want a woman to stay in a relationship with them if they confess to cheating? I want y'all to think about that. So Peter Harrison said this. Oh, let me go back. Being saved is to be saved to the awakening of all the opportunities we have to live a more productive life. The awakening causes us to evaluate and sometimes reevaluate our lives and find ways to improve our lives. Here's what Peter Harrison said. He said that being saved is God's wake-up call to us. It's the way God says, hey, I need to get your attention. All right. However, we are being dared to walk, stand, live in the truth by those who secretly oppose the gift of God's grace we call salvation. Now, let me tell you guys this. Just because people go to church, it does not mean that they are actually saved. It does not mean that they actually love God. Some people just go to church because it's what people do. Some people go to church because they get a check to be in church, and so you just have to know you got preachers that are not really saved. You got prophets that are not really saved. You got pastors that have never confessed Jesus as Lord, and they're just doing anything. They have a good they're very good charismatically. They have a good speaking voice. That they know how to make the inflections of their voice rise and fall at the right moment, get you hyped up. It's some good hype men out there. You know how you see them rappers, they send the hype man out first. And that's what we have in church. We got a bunch of hype men out there, but you got to be careful that you don't encounter someone or hook up with somebody who just have a form of godliness, but they deny the power thereof. And so sometimes what happens is we'll get involved with people who secretly oppose the grace of God, who secretly oppose salvation. They don't even like church. They really don't like church people, but it's something about the church that keeps them around the church. You know what I'm saying? So we have to make sure that we are not making covenant with people who don't love God the way we love God, who does not walk circumspectly, people who are just, they have a form of godliness, but they don't have no power. They don't love God. They're saying one thing with their mouths, but their hearts are far from God. So we don't have to be careful as we, for those of us that have been out of the dating scene for a long time, we got to be careful. We got to kind of ease our way back into it. Living in Atlanta, you always got to ease your way into traffic. You just can't get on the highway and just hit go. You got to ease your way, because sometimes people are not going to move over. They're not going to let you in. They're not going to slow down. They're not going to speed up. They're not going to let you in at the right moment. So dating is just like that. You got to just wait your turn and get in where you fit in, but make sure you don't cause a crash or some calamity to everybody else that's driving the same road that you're driving. All right. So no one who loves God and has accepted his grace through salvation would come. Listen to this, single people. No one who loves God and has accepted his grace through salvation would come into your life and intentionally cause you to sin against God. I don't know anybody that loves you and that can actually say, listen, I love you for real. I love you with all my heart, but I just got to have you. I just got to have you. That, let me tell y'all something. That's not love for you. That's love for themselves. They only want to satisfy themselves, because people who actually care about you, people who actually love God, and have accepted, I'll say it again, his grace through salvation, they would not come into your life and intentionally cause you to sin against God. They would not leave you emotionally wrecked like that, because remember, I told you now, when you already, if you're already dating and then you start talking about having sex, there's a connection already being made there. And honey, your emotions get involved. Everything psychologically about you. It's more than just a physical connection. Unless you can just have sex and, you know, separate your mind and your body from, you know, you can do all of that. I don't, you know, a lot of women can't. Some men can't, you know. And so what happens is, I don't know anybody that will intentionally come in your life and get your life all jacked up into them, knowing they don't really want nothing from you but your sex. I can't in my mind think that that's a good person. Y'all see what I'm saying? No one who cares for you would intentionally, listen to what I'm saying. No one who cares for you will intentionally become emotionally or mentally, they won't make you tied to them when all they really want is a physical or a sexual connection with you. Listen to this. They have no sincere desire to be in a monogamous relationship with you. So here's what happens. The dare then, this is what the dare used to sound like back in the day. You know, when we were young, you know, boys used to tell girls, you know, oh, if you love me, you know, and I love you, I don't see what's the problem. If you love me, prove it. You know, those of us that's old enough, you know, we've heard that before. And as soon as you think it's safe to go back into the water again, now it kind of sounds a little different. Now what they do when they approach each other, they'll say stuff like, I'm looking for a relationship. I'm looking for a husband. I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking for a life partner. And then they'll hit you with, but I know we both saved, but, you know, everybody need a little release every now and then. Oh, you say for real. But do you have sex? These are the questions that are, you know, to me, they're daring questions, because what you're doing, in essence, you're asking a person to kind of you're testing their salvation. This is the part of truth or dare, where we either got to tell the truth or we're gonna take them up on a dare. All right. So we're afraid to say, well, so let me tell you what happened. And I'm not gonna tell you whether this is true or not, or this happened to me or somebody else. I'm just gonna tell you this. When people start saying, well, you may not be what I need, say okay, and you go on. Because sometimes what they need is sexual. And if you're not ready to be in a sexual relationship with somebody, say you're not ready. Don't give in to that pressure. Um, don't give in to that pressure, because a lot of times, once you have given into that pressure and you fall into sex with that person, I've seen people get angry with people after they've had sex. So why you mad at her? You know, why you mad at him? I've seen men get angry with women after they've had sex with them. Why are you angry with her? Well, I told her I didn't want to have sex. I told her we should wait. So she made you have sex with her. So now you're angry with her. You don't want to talk to her no more. And I've seen women blame men. Oh, he knew I was weak. He took advantage of me. Unless he committed a crime against you, unless he forced you against your will, unless he drugged you or something criminal like that. When consenting adults have sex, you all got to stop playing the victim, male and female. All right? Because what's happening here, you keep challenging one another's salvation. And you keep pushing and you keep pushing and you keep pushing to see if you can get that person to give in, not even to their desires, but to your desires. It's your desire to sleep with that individual. That's why you kept pursuing them, to see if you could sleep with them. That's why she kept coming at you to see if she could make you sleep with her. But sometimes people's mind are so made up to what they want, you know, for a long term. I thought of having something momentarily, it don't phase them. And it's not that they're not interested. And it's not that, listen, if it was another way, we can do this and, won't nobody know and all that kind of good stuff. Child, people be doing everything. They already doing everything. But what happens is when you have said to yourself, these are my standards. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm standing on. This is what I'm waiting for. I don't want to have a whole army. When I do find somebody I want to get married to, whether you're male or female, you got to get to the point to where you say, well, I don't want to have to, list a whole football team, when they start asking you, well, how many sexual partners have you had? And some, like, all of that, you run out of fingers, your body count's so high. And as you age, let me tell y'all something. As you age, all of that activity, it'll show up. It's just like anybody who drink a lot, who smoke a lot, who've done drugs, if you had, a lot of sexual partners, as you age, all of that wear and tear on your body, it starts to manifest, it starts to show up. And so that's how come you can look at a person and you don't even really these days, we look so young these days, not because we've lived so good, but most of the time because we've been careful in our decision making. All right, let me put that out there. Not because we've been so good, but we've been careful in our decision making. And if you are a woman, and if you're listening to me on this podcast, be careful. And I say it like this: we're all adults. Don't have any and everybody running up and through your body all the time, because when you start getting older, honey, it's gonna show. It's gonna show itself. One of my friends, she says, what is that thing she says? You be looking like, what did she say? Rolled wet and put away hot, rolled hard and put away wet. You don't want to just look like, you done been through the mill. You don't want to look like, what you've been through. And we all got a testimony. Listen, we've all been through something. We've all done some things that we are not especially proud of. We've all done some things lately we may not be proud of. We've said some things. We've entertained some thoughts that we may not be absolutely proud of. That's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about, having the ability to make the right sound decisions and stick to what you decide. If you decide, I'm not sleeping with anybody that I'm not married to, been there, done that, I don't want to do that anymore. If that's what you decide, then you stick to it no matter what. If you got to walk alone for a season, then you walk alone. But guess what? You walk alone in that grace. You walk alone feeling good. You walk alone looking good. You'll walk alone knowing in the back of your mind that every step you take, you are pleasing God. And you don't really have to worry about, I heard people say, well, maybe I'm never going to find anybody. I've heard somebody say, well, maybe I should start sleeping. Don't give in to the pressure. I'm telling you, don't give in to the pressure, because that man will sleep with you and then marry her. She'll sleep with you, brother, and then go marry him. And then everybody sitting there looking crazy. And here's the bad part. Some of y'all be in the same churches. It's like, okay, so you and her was dating. Y'all slept together. Y'all thought y'all were going to get married. So y'all entered into a sexual relationship. That didn't work out. He starts coming to church with somebody else. You already know what's going on because you know how they dealt with you. And so now you got to sit there looking at what used to be yours with somebody else. That right there, that mental picture and that emotional turmoil that you put yourself through, I don't think it's worth it. I can't see where it's worth it. So listen, if somebody want to leave you, stop talking to you, stop calling you, stop texting you, stop going out with you because you make a decision based on what you believe is best for you in your life, honey, let them go. Brothers, let her go. You know what I'm saying? Let people do what people have to do. You take control of what you think is best for you. So once people find out that you are saved for real, here's what this is what I'm seeing happening across the board. You know, as pastors and as counselors and therapists and things of that nature, as coaches, we talk to a lot of people, you know, about everything, you know, and we also have our personal lives that we have to deal with as well. So here's one of the things I've noticed is that when people find out that you're saved for real, what they'll do, they'll create hostility towards you. The purpose is to make you feel as if there's something wrong that you need to fix in order or change in order to make things work between you two. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you meet somebody and you guys really like each other. But you guys, you know, one tells the other, well, you know, much as I want to, God knows I want to. I'm not sleeping with anybody like that. I don't sleep around, you know. Contrary to what you might think, contrary to what anybody might believe, you know, there are some people that just don't sleep around, period. So what happens is these two people, one makes that claim, one makes that statement. So what happens is the other one creates this hostility towards that one. And so they start making you feel like it's something you need to do. It's something you need to fix. It's something you need to change in order to make this work out. These individuals, watch this, are so accustomed to having their way sexually with other professing Christians. Listen to this. With other professing Christians, God lovers, or church goers, here's what happens. When they approach you and they discover that you actually have standards, they say things that if you're not rooted and grounded in your truth, they'll make you feel wrong for doing right. And then you'll be sitting there wondering why they won't call no more. You know, why they not returning my call? Why they not returning my text? You know, because you guys wanted two different things. You know, and we just have to start being more open our eyes more to truth about things and truth about people. Now, this is not always the case. Sometimes people just have a lot going on in their lives also. You know, that's not what I'm talking about. So let's not get ignorant and think that I'm saying one thing when I'm very specific about what I'm saying, okay? So remember last week we talked about the different types of criticism. When people can't have their way with you, especially in a sexual way, they'll criticize your integrity, they'll criticize your walk with the Lord, and they'll criticize your walk with the Lord. They'll say hurtful and off-putting things that that have the intention of suggesting, you know, like, how dare you, you know, deny me sexually of you. That's really what they're saying. So what they do, they create a moment of hostility between the two of you by saying stuff, you know, like little nitpicking stuff that they find, oh, she don't like for me to say that, so let me say this to her because she know I want to have sex with her. He know I want to have sex with him. Or so this is what I'm gonna say to him. You know, I'm gonna say this because I know this will push his buttons. You know, women, yeah, we do that too. So I want you guys to keep in mind, I'm not even talking about one side or the other. I'm talking about in general across the board. Okay, this is not gender specific that I'm talking about tonight. Okay. So what they're saying is, how dare you deny me the pleasure of having you sexually? So here's some of the things that I've heard. I've heard men say, and I know this was a dig at me, and I had to come to the realization, like I wrote my book, Don't Take It Personally. So I had to stop taking things so personally myself, and I had to realize that, when people can't have you the way they thought they was going to be able to have you, they'll create these moments of hostility, and sometimes, and this is my thing, what what would make a person, what would make a man think he could just come into a woman's life and sleep with her? What make a woman think that she could just walk up into a man's life and just sleep with him? Do we just think men don't have standards? Men have standards too. They do. They have standards. And so uh I had someone say to me, I guess it was a dig, but you know, well, that's why men just see you as a sexual object. When they look at you, all they think about is sex. Okay, that's where I am. Okay, you know, what you're showing me is that you, sir, would never be suitable to have a woman like me, because if in your anger you create a moment of hostility between us, to where you start taking digs that you think might hurt me, and we're just not kind of in the dating process. I'm thinking like this. So what you gonna do if we progress in this relationship? How you gonna treat me if I married you? You gonna get worse then, because then you're gonna feel like you got a right to talk to me like you crazy. I've heard, oh, I know you got plenty men, you know. Or I know you got plenty, you're having plenty of sex, or you got plenty of men, you know. Um, oh, I'm sure you got men lined up, and you know, someone might think, oh, they was being complimentary. No, they were not. They were being hostile because they could not have what they wanted. And a lot of times that's what people do. I said again, when they cannot have you sexually, people will create hostility where there is none. And the objective is to make you feel like there's something you have to do different. There's a standard that you need to lower in order to make things work between the two of you. And I came to tell you tonight, do not lower your standards. If you got to walk this thing out a little bit longer by yourself, then honey, lace your shoes up, put your pumps on, and keep it moving. Do y'all hear me? This is not the time you want to be compromising. This is not the time you just want to be in and out the bed with different. Listen, there's so much diseases going around, and not even that. People are so immature that they'll film you without you knowing it. Next thing you know, you got a leaked video. People trying to sell sex videos. It's ridiculous what's going on throughout the church these days. It's absolutely crazy, and these are not children that we're seeing. We're talking about grown folks that wear the collars. Y'all ain't saying nothing. It's folk that we look up to. We think that they're supposed to have certain standards, but what we're seeing is that we know high people in high places with low morals. That's what we are today. So here's the thing. Sometimes it's not always because you're so strong or you have no sexual desires for them, but there are some people who God, listen to this, the Almighty keeps or allows to abide under his shadow. Y'all remember Psalms 91:1. It is that secret place. I love, 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 love being in that secret place. Let me tell y'all a true story. Listen to this. First, let me tell you this. What is that secret place? It is the shelter. It's the secret location. It's an undisclosed location. It's almost like being in witness protection, if you will, that God provides for those who have decided, listen to this, those who have decided or declared him as a refuge and a fortress, those whom he saves from the fowler's snare. Well, what is that? It's a person who hunts for prey. It's a predator, or it's one who traps a living thing. That's what a fowler is. It's somebody who looks to entrap you in something. And he saves us from the deadly pestilence. Well, what is a deadly pestilence? Deadly diseases or overwhelming circumstances. Watch this, that adversely affect the entire community. So now we got all these diseases. We got all this I call it low rate porn being released of preachers having sex with one another, male and female, male and male. It's just absolutely ridiculous what we're seeing. And then everybody's saying, well, that ain't none of my business. We ain't got to talk about that because that ain't none of my business. But in fact, it affects us all, because what happens is people start saying, well, none of them preachers ain't no good. And church, Christians, everybody ain't doing it. Everybody doing it. I don't care what people think. I don't care what people say. People will try to make you feel bad about who you are so that you can fit into what they need you to be. Remember, I told you, when people cannot have you sexually, they'll create hostility between the two of you to make you feel wrong for doing right. Do y'all follow what I'm saying? So they make you feel like it's something you need to do different in order to make things work between the two of you. You don't have to do anything different. Either they want you because of who you are and how you are, or they don't. You know what I'm saying? And if they don't, then y'all kiss and say goodbye. Let them people go on. Don't try to hold on to somebody that's trying to hold you down. So we all have had moments that we wish we could undo. I've had them. I'm sure all of you have had them. So it's just not the way, that's not the way life works. We just can't go back and undo everything we've ever done. The best we can do from this point on is to make better, wiser decisions. Listen, this is what I want to tell y'all about that secret place. This is why, listen, I don't care what nobody says, when you look a certain way, people often assume certain things about you. If a woman looks like I do, dress the way I dress, you guys know I go to the gym. You guys know I try to eat the best I can. You guys see, if you follow me, you know that about me. And so it should be no surprise that I'm going to look a certain way, because you see what I do. And I try to share my journey with you, and so when somebody come along and they say, oh, you look like the kind of woman, basically, that a man can have if he's a certain standard, or if he has a certain position, or if he tries hard enough, this, that, and the third. And then people say, oh, I'm just playing. No, you're not just playing. What you're doing, you're creating hostility between us, and you may or may not even be aware that that's what you're doing, but you're creating hostility between us because in the back of your mind, that's what you thought. You're not telling me what people thought. You're telling me what you thought. You thought it would be that easy. You thought, that's what you thought in your mind. But when you found out different, people tend to create hostility. I've heard women say, oh, it just didn't work. And I was like, girl, he was nice, He was very attentive. He was nice, Oh, it was just something about him. What was it? Then I find out, oh, he just too saved. He was too nice. What? Okay. That's a whole nother show by itself. So listen, I told you I was going to tell you this true story. Here's a true story. And this is talking about that secret place. So years and years ago, I was at the, I can't remember where I was out somewhere. I think I was at the gas station, something, getting gas. So a gentleman walks over to me. He says, don't I know you? And I said, I don't think so. And he says, aren't you a pastor? And I said, yeah. He said, I've seen you before. And I said, well, okay. So he starts talking to me. He said, you don't remember seeing me at such and such church? I said, no, I don't remember seeing you. So he told me who he was and what church he seen me at, this and the third. So I was like, okay. He said, well, I wanted to ask you, can I take you to lunch? And I said, when? He said, well, you got time now? So I was like, sure, why not? So we go to lunch. I'm in my car. He's in his car. So we go to lunch. We sit there. We having lunch. It's rush hour because it's lunchtime. So we sitting there. We eating lunch. And he says the weirdest thing to me. So I hear him on the phone. He calls his mother on the phone. Then he calls his best friend on the phone. Each time I hear him say, I think I found the one. So I'm thinking he must have met somebody before he invited me to lunch, because surely you're not talking about me. So he goes on to tell me you know, that he had all this property and he had multiple houses and began to share all his different businesses he had with me and all this stuff. So I guess to most, you know, women that he run into, that's impressive. And that's oh, how can I say this? That's one of those we call those panty dropper moves, if you will. You know, child. So, and for someone who does not value or know their value, I can understand that. So I'm not knocking anybody, okay? Not judging. Trust me on that. All right. So here's what happened. So he's sitting there, we're eating, and he just kept staring at me. So now I'm getting uncomfortable because I already heard you tell your mama. I heard you call your best friend, and you talking about you think you found the one. And I'm thinking, well, maybe he met somebody else before he invited me. And so I asked him, I said, were you referring to me when you called your mom? He's like, yeah. And I said, well, we just met. You know, you can't possibly think I'm the one. We just met. You know what this man said? And I appreciate when men are truly honest with me. God knows I do. Some things shock me that they say, some stuff don't, you know. But it's been a few years ago, a lot of years ago, over 10 years ago. So back then I was still shockable. But now, not too much people say shock me. So he said to me, he said, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. He said, a woman that looks like you, he said, y'all are my greatest challenge. He said, he said, I could tell you a businesswoman, you're educated. He goes through all of this. He said, you're beautiful, da, 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 da. He goes through all of this. He said, I could normally when I meet women like you, I have them in my bed before nightfall. Here's what he said. True story. He said, but when I try to see you like that, he said, there's a shield that's keeping me from seeing you like that. He said, there's something protecting you. There's something over you that I can only see you sitting right here. He said, because in my mind, I normally already have visualized a woman in my bed. He said, but you, I can't see you past that. He said, I can't see past us sitting right here. There's something blocking. This is what he was doing. He said, there's something covering you that I can't even see you like that. You know what I said? I told the Lord, thank you. I just sat there and said, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And so I thanked him for dinner, for lunch, I'm sorry. I thanked him for lunch, you know, and I gave him my business card. Now, if you want to do some business, you call me. But anything else, nah, we good. I mean, because people think because you look a certain way that makes you a target. Here's my question. Have we gotten so, I don't even know the word I want to use. As Christians, have we been so brainwashed into thinking that the you you know, or the less you take care of yourself, the more powerful you're gonna be, or the more manly a woman behaves, the more, oh, she anointed, you know, because she hard. You know, I don't want to be hard. I enjoy everything about being a woman. I love my soft skin. I love smelling good. You say what you want to say. I like sounding soft. I like everything about me. I like it just the way God made me. And I think until people are comfortable in the skin that they're in, they will always find something about the other person that they feel like is a bit much. All right. So we've all had those moments. We wish we could undo things. We just life doesn't work that way. So the best we can do, we can just make better decisions and we can keep going from there. All right. So listen, that's the end of my notes. And so, all right. So, if you guys have any questions, I thank you guys for tuning in. I did not suspect that we would have too much, you know, dialogue back and forth on this. I was hoping we did, but I understand these kind of subjects, can be a little borderline, intimidating for, say, people to talk about, but I feel like as long as we're not giving out personal information, I think the conversation is worth having. And so for those of you that are tuning in by way of the singles group, thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, Cameron, those of you that are YouTubers, thank you. Instagram, thank you guys for coming back. I'm sorry you guys got cut off earlier. And the other streamings, thank you so much. Like I tell you, I have 5 cameras going tonight. So, child, I think I'm doing something now. So hopefully I'll get better and better. And I hope everybody is coming through clear. I was using one device that kept glitching, so I hope I fix that one. You guys over here, I hope you're not glitching tonight. So I hope I fix that one. But again, we have to, live in your truth. Don't let people dare you to live, or make you do something you don't want to do. That's what truth or dare is about, So if you tell the truth about something, or if you're not willing to tell the truth, then that puts you in a position to where they get to decide what you do and what you don't do. They get to decide, what decision, they make the decisions for you. Let me say it that way. And so when you start doing, when you start thinking about the dating process, when you start thinking about courting, make sure that you're able to court and date somebody that allows you to live in your truth. Now there are some people, I don't care what they try. You can't, I can't even feel nothing for you like that. And then there are some people that I'm just like, go on now, stop playing with me, but we both have a problem, so you just have to be honest about who you are, where you are, and what your standards are. And when you say that these are my standards, this is what I believe, this is what I'm standing for, then stand there. Be steadfast, be unmovable, stand right there. I promise to tell you this, God knows exactly what's in your heart. He knows exactly what you're standing for. He knows exactly what your prayer is. He knows your petition. He has heard your cry. And I promise to tell you this, God will not send somebody in your life that will cause you to compromise your position with him. He will not send somebody into your life that will cause you to go against what he's told you. If God told you to listen, don't have sex until you're married, he's not going, God himself will not send you somebody that just keep pushing and pushing and pushing you into having sex until you just can't take the resist the temptation anymore, until you give in. And then once you give in, then they don't want to have no more to do with you. Or I've seen pastors that are sleeping with 4 and 5 women. You promising to marry all of them? Come on now. And then the one that you thought was the girl who thought was gonna get married, he wanted to marry somebody else. Now everybody mad, everybody want to expose everything. But here's the truth of the matter: unless you were a part of a criminal, situation, we have to start taking responsibility and say, I knew what was going on. Because 9 times out of 10, if people are in a position and this is how they're behaving with you, chances are this is how they behave with other people. Not unless they are actually committed to being with you. That's the game changer. The game changer is if a person is actually committed to being with you, then I don't think it's safe to assume that they'll sleep with you and everybody else. Let me just clear that up, okay? So you guys won't walk away thinking I'm saying that this is how everybody deals, because I don't believe everybody deals that way. But what I do know is that when you're praying and you're asking God not only to send you someone, but also ask him to make you valuable to someone, make you an asset to someone's life. Ask him to make you, what somebody else needs. Don't always just pray for what you need, but you be what somebody else needs as well. And what I will tell you this is God has enough wisdom not to put us in temptations or in situations that he knows that we can't really, just be like, no, because after a while those no's gonna turn into a maybe, and then a maybe gonna turn into I think we might, and then after a while you're gonna say yes, and then your yes gonna turn into we in the bed together. When that happens, somebody gonna start feeling some kind of way. Either one or two things happen. Either people go on and get married or they break up. Most of the time, People break up, and then you're left kind of feeling that void, because if you're a woman, you've given yourself to that man. If you're a man, you've given yourself to a woman that really didn't want anything else from you but that moment. You know, so now she can go back and tell all her girlfriends, that she's living a celibate life, because you done came along and you took care of that for her for that moment. And that's all she was really looking for. She was looking for somebody to take care of that for the moment. And you just happen to be the one she chose, but she didn't really want it. She didn't really want no relationship with you. You know, you thought you hadn't found the one. So I said that to say it goes both ways. I did not want to make this all about what men did, because I see both ends of the spectrum. I see women do it and I see men do it. We're forcing people to live outside of their truth because we're daring them. It goes almost always almost back to what I was saying earlier, how they're almost making you prove that you want to be with them by sleeping with them. If I got to sleep with you to prove that I want to be with you, then we don't need to be together. Period. We don't need to be together. If me talking to you, getting to know you, spending time with you, talking to you, all that good stuff, if we're not sharing our dreams and our goals and how we plan to get there, we're not talking, we're not having that kind of conversation, chances are we won't make it to the bed, because some people just are turned on by sight alone. Conversation turns other people on. So you just got to know who you're dealing with, and if you intend to really be with that person long term, then give it time. Just wait a little bit. Don't be in such a hurry to, almost, entice somebody into being in a sexual relationship. After all, we are saying that we're saved. So everybody's saying what we're saved, we're Christians, we love God or what have you, but we're having just as much sex and not married as the people in the world are having. Somebody tell me what's the difference? There's no difference. How do we tell people, come out of the world and come out of sin and wait on the Lord and all this and that, get your life together first. Make sure you have a good credit rating first, make sure you do this first. You want to start a business, start that first. You want to write a book, do that. Go ahead and go to school, get your bills paid off, paid down, what have you. We don't have those kind of conversations because we living in such a sex crazed culture. To even old folks, that's all they want to talk about. We 50, 60, 70, and all we want to talk about is sex, and so that's all we have sometimes. We just have good sex and we don't have a good life. I want both. I want both. And sometimes you have to wait for what you want. And if you're willing to wait, you'll always come out better, because waiting gives you choices. Waiting gives you options. Okay. All right. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that next week. On next week's show, we're going to be on part 5. Next week is part 5. All right. And so next week, we're going to be talking about, this is what I call next week, the hustle and flow of the Christian mafia. Hustle and flow of the Christian mafia. Sex, lies, money, threats, blackmail, blacklisted, shamed into silence, the sexual systems of the modern day church, the fear of being exposed, videos, audio recordings, sexual or sensual pictures, text messages, and screenshots. That's what we're going to talk about next week, because we are doing the most. And we want people to keep saying that we're saved. We want to keep touting the fact that we love God, and we want to keep saying that we're different from the world, but our behavior is so parallel to the world. Truly, there is no real difference. And if we're going to reform the church, let's start with what's already in the church before we got to clean the church up before we try to bring more stuff in. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section, or you can inbox me. And I also want you guys to inbox me and tell me what other content you would like to discuss or hear discussed here on our podcast. All right. And on our show here. And I'll be glad to entertain any of your suggestions. All right. So don't forget, during this series I want you guys to get my book on Don't Take It Personal, Keys to Better Communications. It is available at Amazon.com. Go now and get it. You'll get it in 1-day shipping with your Prime membership. This is so cool. I wish you guys could see what I'm seeing. I'm seeing myself, this book, on all 5 of these cameras. This is so cool. But anyhow, go to Amazon.com and get the book. This one is not available on Kindle just yet. Some of my other books are. This one is not available. You can either type in my name, Benita Bradley, Pastor Benita Bradley, or Benita Bradley, or look for the title of the book, and it'll pop right up. And you can order it, and you'll get it in 1 day. I think if you order on a Sunday, if you order on a Saturday, it comes on a Monday, but you will get it in 1 day. I don't know if I think they deliver on Sundays, but if you order on Saturday, you might get it on a Monday. Okay. All right. So make sure you go get the book. Go to Amazon.com. Here's the book. I'm at a good angle where everybody can see it at one time. Wow. All right. Good deal. All right. So, again, thank you guys for tuning in. It has been my pleasure bringing you this information. And you guys know when I bring these topics and subjects to you, it's because I think it's important that we talk about them. And wherever you're streaming from, go back and watch. If you're just coming in, you missed it, go back and watch from the beginning and comment or inbox me and tell me what you think. Tell me what other topics you'd like to hear us talk about here on the show. I am Benita, your host of What's on Your Mind, and it has been my pleasure to be with you this evening. I do hope and pray that I said something to encourage somebody. I do hope and pray that I was responsible with the information that I gave you guys tonight. I do hope and pray all of those things. All right. So I will see you guys on Wednesday, the Lord's will. Until then, bye-bye.